What if you could once again enjoy the scientific publishing process? You can. Welcome to eNeuro, an exciting open-access journal from the Society for Neuroscience.
eNeuro is a new journal that is accompanying the Journal of Neuroscience, which is the official journal of the Society for Neuroscience. It's an online platform, and it has several unique aspects compared to other publications. Especially its double-blind review process and the consultation process. The double-blind process means that you're allowed not to identify yourself when you submit a paper.
I handled a paper relatively recently that has now made quite a splash, and the author actually mentioned to me the reason why I submitted it to eNeuro is because of the double-blind process, because he said, I don't think I would have had this paper published if someone knew the data was coming from my lab, and it was newsworthy data. People are tweeting about it. We're all talking about it downstairs at the meeting. And he's like, it's truly because of that double-blind process.
My favorite part of eNeuro is the synthesis, the consultation session. Once both reviews are in, and usually we have two reviewers, once the second one comes in, they immediately get a note from me asking them to look at each other's reviews and find areas of similarity and dissimilarity, agreement, disagreement, try to figure out what's important. We try to distinguish what the reviewers want and what the paper needs.
It's a very fair process because it allows the reviewers to rethink their review in light of other reviews of peers, of their peers. Usually it's very constructive, because once you have a consultation, it's the reviewers wish to provide a very constructive comment and help the authors improve their paper.
Probably the most important thing was, in this first submission, we had an editor that had given us extremely specific instructions as to the types of things that we had to do for this to be acceptable for publication. That was a breath of fresh air.
As both an editor and a reviewer and an author, I appreciate getting a clear, concise list of what the reviewers want in order to get the paper published. There's no reading of the tea leaves, there's no reading between the lines. We try to make it clear and direct as possible. And that, I think, is a real benefit for the authors when they're trying to evaluate should they move the paper forward in the process. And I think we can offer some key features at eNeuro that other journals can't. And I think the biggest selling point that I tell people about is the speed of evaluation and feedback. And people can publish their work, in a very reasonable amount of time. I think that's the key selling point. And being a society journal, it still gets their work seen by the eyes. That's important to see it, which is their peers.
You know the review process is going to involve interactions between three people. It's going to involve changing ideas, changing opinions. And it allows you then to get your science out a lot more quickly, like 28 days. I can't believe we've still held with that 28 days from start to finish in terms of getting a paper accepted.
It was very clear as a writer of the paper that the editor and the reviewers were interested in the paper getting published. So there were some problems with the paper that we needed to address, but they were helping us to fix those things rather than taking the somewhat passive approach that we often see. This was no form letter explaining that it was a rejection. This was a very well thought out synthesis telling us point by point the types of things that we had to do to get it published.